We stand at the threshold of the Latin America ATALAC Congress 2026, to be held from 10th to 14th of August in Ribeirão Preto. And I come to affirm that this event will surpass any other initiatives in terms of legacy for our sector. Why? First, because it celebrates the legacy of Professor José Paulo Estupiello, beloved friend and the president, the emeritus president of STAB. This extraordinary man was a tireless visionary, a great architect, and the driving force of the modern Brazilian sugar and ethanol industry, whose influence would come to connect the sector throughout the world. And so, beyond honoring him, this Congress enshrines that global connection in its slogan: sugarcane, the bioenergy that connects countries. And further on, I shall return to those extraordinary bioenergy opportunities now before us. Let me illustrate the convergence of factors that raise this Congress to historical milestones. The coordinated effort of STAB-ATALAC and ATACORI, with the direct support of SACE and FENASUCRO. Today, STAB is presided over the renowned researcher whose career goes back to the Agronomical Institute of Campinas, Dr. Rafaela Rossetto. And I must highlight also that Professor Mona Lisa Sampaio Carneiro, an eminent Brazilian researcher, now holds the chair of the executive committee that leads the ISSCT, our International Society of Sugarcane Technologists. Remarkably, no Brazilian had held that presidency in more than 100 years of history. And despite the stature of our country in the sector, right? Her election at the end of 2025 makes her the first Brazilian and the first woman to lead this global organization. I also must celebrate Carlos Sainz, distinguished president of ATALAC and ATACORI, the technicians of all Latin American and Caribbean sugarcane sector, and ATACORI is from Costa Rica, okay? And I hope to have shown the superstitious among us that the number 13 here is in truth a milestone of opportunity and metaphorically a moment of great and good fortune, not the opposite, okay? I say this because there thrives in our time the notion that we are living through a crisis of apocalyptic proportions. But I must object this without any delay. For if we submit the numbers to rigorous scrutiny, the so-called bear market, the dark clouds of 2026 dissolves into thin air. What it reveals is a perfect storm of cognitive biases, market myopia above all, but also the procyclical or extreme cycle bias, in this case is trenched to infinite, and the anchoring bias, the availability heuristic, and the false generalization. All of these are producing a hyperbolic short-term judgment, a market reductionism, and what is more important, a myopia of a purely conjunctural kind. By anchoring long-term projections to the spot volatility of the commodities, the market confuses seasonal price fluctuations with the structural robustness of the real assets in the chain of value. And even in a mature, century-old market, everyone can be blind and blind to their own blindness, as Kahneman, Nobel Prize of Economy, advised us. The volatility of our time only sharpens that blindness. In the lapidary words of Herbert Simon, also Nobel laureate in economics, In an information-rich world, a wealth of information, the excess of information creates a poverty of attention. And the trade-off of the excess of information is the poverty of attention. For what information consumes is quietly obvious, the attention of its recipients, us. And so what the sector sees is a screen, not a span of history. We are days before the real-time ticker, while analysts operate under the constraints of bounded rationality, also proposed by Herbert Simon. The excess of short-term financial noise consumes the attention owed to structural and strategic fundamentals. The result? Well, superficial diagnosis disguised as precision, feeding social media and inducing a sectorial herd effect. But could this be so? Or am I the only mistaken in keeping this huge optimism? Well, let us see. Today, the 18th of June 2026, sugar is quoted in New York at 14.19 cents per pound, pricing the July contracts. This price is stable with a positive technical bias of 0.33%. Okay, at 14 or 15 cents, the world price stands 5 to 6 times above 1985 disaster of 2.5 cents and almost 10 times above the 1966 floor of 1.4 cents. Well, even adjusted by inflation today, we are almost double the real low of 1985 and practically in the same level of 66. Well, and we can also consider that we are better than 2004, 2020, and close to the situation in 2024, where we were celebrating. Well, I look back at the collapses of 66 and 85 shows the danger of the pro-cyclical bias. In both cases, the market priced in the structural end of sugar from the price collapsing in red at that moment on the cathode ray screen. Yet, it ignored the capacity for institutional reordering. The 66 crash forced new architectures of global quotas, and the 85 crisis accelerated the biotechnological transition, mainly in Brazil, in the South, and going toward biofuels, proving that short-term spot noise blinds the analyst to the forces that can reconfigure real assets. The deflated analysis is robust empirical view. Follow me. As I said, a nominal price of 1.86 cents per pound would equal the prices today. I am referring to 66, which means that the current price in real terms are in the average of 66 recession. Okay, so does the sector risk going under? The marginal cost per hectare in the extraction efficiency of total recoverable sugar had evolved drastically since the 80s. The break-even is incomparably lower, and there is elasticity of the mix of products. In 66 and 85, the mills were hostage of sugar. Today, the sector is sucro-energetic. The ability to divert biomass instantly to ethanol or bioelectricity cogeneration is a shock absorber that did not exist in the past. The historical deflation deconstructs the nominal illusion that feeds superficial diagnosis. This is the clearest proof that the nominal headline is a mirage. We are not in the abyss. We are merely looking through the wrong end of the telescope. The decisive difference is structural, not only statistical. The historical collapse shrunk when sugarcane was trapped in a single output food matrix. One crop, one product, one price, one fate. But that cane is gone. Today, the sector commands a dynamic, flexible biomass platform, wagering on the energy transition as a lever to a new level, exactly as the slogan says, the Congress slogan says, the bioenergy that connects countries. And I dare to call this Congress one that transcends Latin American borders, so global and indelible. And connecting the sector globally, I said, and connecting it definitively to a new horizon, far beyond the quotation on the LED screen by now. We are here to speak of sugar, ethanol, and bioelectricity, but also SAF, sustainable aviation fuel, derived from ethanol. Each of these products is an exit door and also an entry door into independent and vigorous markets. To surrender to a corporate strategy built on panic, on the very short-term tickers of 2026, is to ignore a fact written in stone across more than 60 years of robust data. So we have already survived far worse with far fewer weapons. And this is what our dear Stupiel would say in his opening address. The price is low, okay, but our options have never been higher. And the discipline this moment demands, it's not forecasting, it is governance. So do not base your strategies on the sugar price oscillating on the screen. Govern the situation by treating sugar as embedded in a far more complex system. And let the corn come too. Yeah, in sum, the error of market reductionism becomes clear once we dismantle the illusion that price alone determines sectorial viability. Price and margin operate in distinct dimensions. Set today's real levels beside 66 and 85, and a linear reading suggests identical value destruction, but it omits the structural displacement of the cost curve driven by techno-scientific efficiency, where the crashes of 20th century suffocates mills in severely negative margin, a low-yield matrix hostage to one product. Today's ecosystem observes the compression through optimized margin cost. The rise in TCH, the maximization of TRS and RETC, a Brazilian market, a Brazilian KPI, the better use of industrial time, the dilution of fixed costs through energy co-products and carbon credits have reconfigured the break-even. To judge the sector soundness while ignoring these historical leaps in productivity and flexibility is to confuse the financial symptom with the real physiology of production. I do not intend to close so complex a subject, but to provoke an intense, healthy, and productive debate. For this and much more, Join us in August. I am Carlos Leisure Sherman Palmer. I will be talking about sustainable aviation fuel and energy efficiency. See you there.